total 800.
Emerson's second is a 200.
And Martin survives this for a 400.
This and more next on Speedweek.
Despite the fact it's October already, the motorsports action continues, and we'll have reports on several events in the next half hour. Hi, everyone, and welcome to Speedweek. I'm Bob Jenkins.
And I'm Larry Newber. A little later in the show, we'll report on Emerson Fittipaldi's first kart road course win. But now, the latest from NASCAR.
The Winston Cup clan moved to Charlotte Motor Speedway last weekend, and the final nail may have been driven in the points coffin. Mark Allen has the story.
Pole sitter Tim Richmond's and Darrell Waltrip's hopes of winning the Winston Cup championship may have been dealt the final fatal blow in the $600,000 event. Points leader Dale Earnhardt manhandled his Chevy to win number 4 this season, half coming here at Charlotte. Yet in the first 100 miles, it was Earnhardt who appeared likely to yield ground in the title chase when tire trouble shoved him 2 laps down. A pedal-to-the-metal charge and 2 accidents put Earnhardt back among the leaders. The first pivotal wreck on lap 85 triggered when number 75, Morgan Shepherd, and another car touched. The multi-car mayhem didn't look too serious from the main grandstand, but involved 8 machines, with defending race champ Cale Yarborough, A.J. Foyt, Chet Phillip, and Richard Petty erased. Joe Ruttman and others underwent facelifts before continuing. The second key caution came well before mid-race when Bill Elliott and Bobby Hillin Jr. tangled. Hillin was scraped off the wall and eventually sent back out. Beyond halfway, fans thrilled to 15 straight laps of door-to-door warfare for the lead between Earnhardt and Richmond. Though Richmond eventually built up a comfortable margin, his motor rebelled from the torture of running on the point. He finished a helpless 27th. Then teammate Jeff Bodine challenged Earnhardt until being cut off in his pit and forced to make another stop, which cost him a lap. That left 33 Harry Gant to chase down the number 3 Chevy, but 1 second was as close as he got before Earnhardt slammed the door shut in the final few circuits. With Waltrip's 9th place finish, all Earnhardt has to do is finish 10th or better in the 3 remaining events, and he's national champion. The next race is 2 weeks in Rockingham, where Waltrip is the defending race champ. From the Charlotte Motor Speedway, this is Mark Allen reporting.
The points battle isn't over yet. There are 3 still in contention for the Winston Cup, but Dale is now 159 points ahead of Darrell, and Waltrip only 73 ahead of Tim.
Chet Phillip underwent surgery to repair a broken kneecap. Hospital time was expected to be brief.
For the Grand National Sportsman, Charlotte is a demanding place and can be dangerous. Winston Cup interloper Dale Earnhardt had begun a very successful weekend, qualifying fastest over 161 miles per hour. Dale will stay near the front all day, listed among the leaders, with Brett Bodine in the red Thomas Brothers car. It's been white for the last 2 decades. Darrell Waltrip here, and Davey Allison and Larry Pearson. Only 2 cautions for just 15 laps, but one brought some anxious moments. That's Rodney Howard having smashed and ground along the outer wall. The fire, like a mad dog, just wouldn't quit, but finally he bolts out to safety. Not only near the front, but into victory lane for Dale. Almost ironically, Darrell Waltrip is second, while Larry Pearson, racing here with Jack Ingram, holds on to that precious points lead with a 3rd. L.D. Ottinger has another top 5, he's 4th, and Jeff Bodine won the Goody invite with a 5th. With 3 races to go, 2 short tracks and the Rockingham Mile, Larry Pearson leads points. Brett Bodine is runner-up, Jack Ingram a hungry 3rd after the suspension, then Dale Jarrett and L.D.
This is Benny Ertl, normally the team coordinator for Bobby Allison's Winston Cup effort, but today, race driver in the Charlotte Daytona Dash race last week. What makes this story interesting is his pit crew.
It was really exciting coming down pit row and seeing the likes of Bobby Allison and Neil Bonnet and all the guys that would help me out today, and Richmond up ready to change the tire, and Davey Allison quicking, Bobby Hillin Jr. working a jack, and Rusty Wallace, and who else? Kyle Petty was out there, and Mike Waltrip, Richmond we mentioned, and it's just a pleasure to have them guys come out, take time out of their busy schedule here at Charlotte, come out and help me.
The day had its ups and downs for Benny. 3 times the car got out from under him. In fact, Benny says his racing career is over already. Never again, despite a respectable 12th place finish. The crew, well, probably better off in their regular line of work, too. The race, by the way, won by Mike Swain.
Coming up, the rain makes this start one of IndyCar's slowest of the year.
A Midwest downtown provides one of IMSA's fastest street starts.
The longest IndyCar race in history is over. It began 2 weeks ago at Road America, was postponed due to rain, and completed last Saturday.
Weather conditions this time were almost as wet and cold as 2 weeks previous. But regardless, over 22,000 were on hand for the restart. Some things for the drivers to think about in this kind of weather: dry shoes so the feet won't slip off the pedals, and some tape over the nose to prevent the face shield from fogging up. Bobby Rahal will lead the field to a green flag. But the first 2 circuits were run under yellow with visibility marginal at best. Al Unser Jr. made a quick stop under yellow, but at least the car was repaired from the crash here 2 weeks ago. On the first green lap, Michael Andretti, running behind Rahal and Danny Sullivan, almost loses it in corner 5. A full course yellow comes out when the drizzle turns to a downpour 3/4 of the way through. The question among teams: should they pit or stay out in case of a red? Finally, Michaels decides to come in, then Rahal. But these are after stops by Emerson Fittipaldi, Roberto Moreno, and Rick Mears. Visibility is even worse when the green comes out, but miraculously, everyone makes it through turn 1 okay. Mears had one of his best road races ever, was 3rd, and the best finish for the Chevy. Fittipaldi played it cool and watched Jacques Villeneuve and Moreno crash out. He inherited the lead just 7 laps from the checkered. Although Michael closed within 0.3 of a second, Emo held Michael off for his first ever road course win in kart. The Fittipaldi, Michael, Mears, Roberto Guerrero, and Rahal top 5 finish spreads out the points just a bit. Going into this Sunday's Laguna Seca race, which we'll televise live, Bobby has a 2-point lead on Michael. Sullivan is 3rd, Little Al 4th, and Mario 5th.
Dan Gurney will have his Eagle back in action this weekend at Laguna Seca. Jan Lammers will drive. We'll also televise the ARS race from Laguna. Steve Millen, without a ride recently, will debut the new Hamelgarn entry. Other new faces include Dave Simpson, the son of the former IndyCar driver Bill Simpson, Jim Busby Jr., the son of an IMSA star, and German ace Jan Tholke, who's been driving Group C cars in Europe most recently.
FISA, the international sanctioning body of auto races, has announced there will be 2 championships next year in Formula One, one for turbocharged and one for non-turbocharged engines.
IMSA and all of its primary divisions visited Columbus, Ohio last week, a weekend that has become one of the year's most spectacular and coveted in a very short period of time. As usual, the highlight, GTP. These 500 kilometers would be brutal mechanically. One of the newest GP Dragons, the Nissan, qualified pole by Elliott Forbes Robinson outside the vet of Vandermeer and Bundy, but watch for the 12 starting Levin Porsche. Forbes Robinson fastest, but loses bodywork, tape flapping on the right side here. He and co-driver Jeff Brabham, who drove Indy Saturday, never recovered. After the first pit stops in this 4-hour race, Frenchman Bob Wallach and statesider Scott Pruitt in the lead. The attrition claimed 25 of 40, including both Ford Probes. Drivers up Ludwig, St. James, Halsmer, Rahal. Both BMWs, Hobbs, Watson, Jones, Andretti. And the Al Unsers, first time ever driving together. Junior had left Dad in second before seniors wall smack and transmission woes. But Wallach and Pruitt, with a Bob Aiken borrowed motor, won. One of Jim Busby's BFG Porsche second, steered by Jochen Mass and Darren Brasfield, and one of the nimble Jaguars, Hurley Haywood and Brian Rebid third, Rob Dyson with employee Price Cobb fourth. Scott Pruitt, also a prominent player in the GTO division, raced same morning with the GTUs. Pruitt's Mustang had set on pole, but Willie T. Ribbs got his Camaro passed early. It was a race of controversy, penalties, and much caution. Willie won, but later IMSA officials fined him and benched him for 60 days, calling his pass overdriving. And Pruitt with Jack Baldwin each received like fines for another incident. Pruitt leads points and the win category 6. Baldwin has won 5. In the Battle of the Mazdas, also known as GTU, Roger Mandeville won for the 7th time. But the teenager who needs notes from his racing mentors occasionally explaining why he misses UCLA classes, Tom Kendall, nailed down points. He's had 13 first or seconds this year. There have been 19 different faces in Camel Light's victory lane. Mike Brockman and Steve Durst shared this one, Jim Downing the most, 4. Irv Hare had lost only 1 in Kelly Challenge to Patty Moise. When they both retired, Clay Young, who actually stopped early once, thinking the race was over, won. Robin McCall, Wally Dallenbach's new wife, tussled side by side with veteran Jerry Thompson to squeeze out second. She earned the Norelco Drivers' Cup for this Saturday effort, her best ever in IMSA. And the usually quiet, confident Robin calmly stated, "Now we're competitive and now ready to improve on to a win." Saturday evening's Pro Sports 2000 race provided one of the most unique sights I've seen in racing. Flagged off about 6 p.m., night rolled in under the facade of a driving rainstorm. The downtown streetlights came on and the rain pelted down. And the 2000s roared on, doing an excellent job. Few miscues. Hometowner John Fergus controlled the intervals and won. The event finished the season. John finished third in points behind Colin Truman and champion Steve Knapp. As for that GTO controversy, remember this was a street course and no video was made available, so for me it was difficult to pass judgment.
But for right now, the fine and suspension hold. And in our next segment, a couple of American racing main events played in home theaters last weekend.
The ASAers on the legendary banks of Winchester and modifieds at Springs in Connecticut. Stay with us.
Come to sing yet, so yeah, there's a chance.
This 400 lapper attracted a near capacity crowd, and the students are forced to the inside wall. Then others become involved and the track is nearly blocked. It means the end for Jones, who at one time led ASA points. Ballew's broken suspension will also eliminate him after only 91 circuits. Up to speed again, it's Eddie, Harold Fair, Seneca 2 laps down, Martin, Miller, and Trickle. But Fair pulls out of the train with an engine problem after a strong first half. Butch duels with and finally passes Mike, and it looks as if Butch will win this one. But his engine also goes sour 170 laps from the finish. Miller's disgust with his 16th place finish was evident. Trickle's demise came when he collided with a sliding John Wilson. His suspension is also messed up and he finishes 15th. This incident could be the one that cost Dick the title. Mark passed Eddie with 9 laps to go, and Martin won by a full lap over Dodder. Nashville, the last race of the year, is next, with Martin now in the points lead. Trickle is second, followed by Miller, Eddie, and Seneca.
The chase for the successor to Richie Evans is getting near the final out. Those mods headlined race day in Connecticut, which also included the lesser horsepowered SK modifieds. Jeff Fuller, fighting for third, is tripped on the main straight and starts this forever-lasting slide for life. Lots of sparks, damaged pieces, but the roll cage is taking a firm stand. No injury. Bo Gunning of nearby Watertown won this 30-lapper. Charlie Jarzambek led the NASCAR modifieds, George Ken on the outside, and Jamie Tomino, the white number 99, way back in 12th. While Hey There, Georgie Boy ramrods to the lead, Tomino is trying to catch Jimmy Spencer in points and is orbiting around, inside and outside. Jamie last moved under Brian Ross for the lead. Then finally Spencer began, here by George Brunholzel. A yellow 2 laps from the end set up a final side-by-side restart, and Jamie almost took them both out, but he held on for the win. But it was also another strike because Spencer was very close to clinching points.
The ingredients of a successful Winston Cup team. That's the subject of this week's Bernstein File, brought to you by Budweiser.
Many people wonder what it takes to set up a NASCAR Winston Cup team. It's quite extensive. It takes a lot of effort to do it. There are 4 things I think that it takes to make it successful. One, of course, is money, the finances to buy the equipment and to be able to hire the personnel that it takes to run the team. Crew chief, very important person with the team, runs, operates the whole team, makes major decisions all the time. The next area, of course, is an engine department, an engine builder that makes you have a good engine with a lot of horsepower but can live for 500 miles. And last but not least, the driver, a good, aggressive, thinking, intelligent driver that's not afraid to stick it in there any time. When you put all this package together, hopefully then you'll have a chance to win a Winston Cup NASCAR race. I'm Kenny Bernstein.
Pro Ralliers performed at a place with a tongue-twisting name. Not our typical Speedweek stuff, but pretty entertaining. The Ojibwa Rally in northern Minnesota, a long way from Gardena, California, for instance. Matter of fact, about an 8-hour ride north and west of Chicago. Autumn hasn't hit most of the Midwest yet, but here it's come and almost gone. That old abandoned, I guess, quarter mile makes up part of the course. The Peugeot of John Woodner is still finishing third. The unique 4-wheel drive Mazda of Steve Millen's brother Rod is still finishing second. And here comes the man still finishing first. Hold on, it's Audi's John Buffum, talking about the drama and the enthusiasm of winning points again by winning here.
Oh, yeah, we could, yeah. There's different ways of looking at it, but yeah, it could be over here.
He won. GT production to Doug Shepard and Group A to Canada's Walter Boyce.
Motocrossers Sunday were in the California desert near Carlsbad.
Willie Surratt had the 125cc Trans-Cal Series points lead going in, but he ran into a problem just after the start of Moto 1. Rick Johnson on a factory Honda was overall class winner, although Bader Manna challenged in the second heat until Manna fell late in the contest. Johnson, who liked the decision to run backwards on the track, also won the 250cc class. This fall by Tommy Watts on the downhill caused no injuries. Billy Frank on Yamaha number 26 was 500cc champ with third and first place finishes in the 2 motos.
Officials have announced that next year's Golden State Nationals will have international sanction, allowing Europeans to compete in all 8 events. The Trans Am Series will run at Road Atlanta this weekend, the first time there since 1984. With a win, Wally Dallenbach Jr. can become the all-time Trans Am money winner and can come close to clinching his 2nd consecutive championship. The last driver to win back-to-back Trans Am titles was Bob Tullius in 1977 and 78.
Later this year, St. Petersburg will be the locale of another downtown extravaganza. But last week, a new boat formula. Steve Michael reports.
Lake Maggiore in St. Petersburg, Florida was the site of a full weekend of American Powerboat Association racing as over 120 boats competed in 47 heats on the world record-setting course. Just about every inboard class was represented, from the 12-foot-long 80-mile-an-hour 1-liter stock and modified hydros to the powerful 16-foot super stock runabouts. A close call on the course and an occasional early start disqualification added to the apprehension. One of the happiest teams of the weekend was top driver Chuck Woodruff of Miami Shores, Florida, and John Taggart, owner of the Buckeye Kid. Woodruff, known as rookie to his fellow competitors, had a record-setting run in the Formula Mercruiser 6-liter class. The boat performed beautifully as he ran away from the field in the final heat with a world record run of 113.16 miles an hour. For the American Powerboat Association from St. Petersburg, Florida, this is Steve Michael reporting for ESPN Speedweek.
Now here's this week's trivia question. John Buffum has lost only 1 U.S. Rally Crown since '77 to a still active driver. Was it A, Rod Millen, B, John Woodner, C, Doug Shepard, D, Steve Nowicki, or E, Steve Millen?
Here's the answer to this week's trivia question. Woodner has never been champ. Shepard was Buffum's navigator for 4 of those winning years. Once ESPN reporter Nowicki doesn't run in Buffum's class, and Steve Millen has never run stateside rallies. The answer is A, Rod Millen, who interrupted the streak in 1981.
Nostalgia is part of the craze of Major League Racing in the 80s. And not to be outdone, BMW stages its own event.
What a vintage and veteran and historic cars to these guys. These are all the cars I started in. You know, things like the Lotus Formula Juniors out there, which look funny little things now. I mean, boy, I can remember them coming along. I mean, I can remember that being the absolute newest and latest race car.
David then reminisced about the IMSA 75 vintage BMW CSL.
Well, for its age, it was pretty exciting. As you can see, it's got this fantastic wing on the back. It has the roof spoiler to divert air down to the wing, has a big front spoiler. It had aluminum doors, hood, and trunk lids. It was a definite road-going racer.
David, what do sophisticated world-renowned race drivers do at a vintage weekend?
I've been taking people for rides on the track, and so it's kept me out of the bar for the afternoon, which is a bit of a drag, but the riding and driving time's coming to an end soon, and I should be able to hit the wine bar.
This Sunday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, the IndyCar race from Laguna Seca. Sunday night at midnight, the Formula One race from Mexico City. And delayed coverage of the ARS event from Laguna will be aired Thursday the 16th at 3:30 p.m. I'm Bob Jenkins.
And I'm Larry Newbert. Join us for reports on those and other races next week here on Speedweek.
Speedweek has been brought to you by B.F. Goodrich TA Radials, built for you to take on the road.